Hornets lose, but maybe an appropriate tanking loss, getting some of the younger guys some crucial minutes down the stretch. Doug said he's mocked and loaded. He's got another mock draft for you. And then the Hornets reveal the construction for their new practice facility. We play Innie or Outie. It's a jam-packed show today. Stick around for Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
And for those wondering, no, I'm not talking about belly buttons. We're not playing Innie or Outie belly buttons. It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. Oh, boy. Doug's going to show his belly button, folks. It is that kind of show. Doug Branson, that is. He is the writer of everyhornetsboxscore.com. He also hosts Locked On NBA with Matt Moore and Hayes. I'm Walker Mail. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Again, thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods, and that does include YouTube. We also have a newsletter, the Locked On Hornets newsletter. It's a one-stop shop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. You can sign up for free right now, lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Hornets newsletter. And finally, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was distracted.
Game Time?
Game time.
Game time. Game time. All right. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase with the Game Time app. Hornets, they recognized it was game time. And then in the fourth quarter, not so great in the closing minutes, but they were there. They still lost, but they were there. They lose to Orlando 111-104 last night. And I think the story for this one, Doug, is Charles Lee sticking with some of the young guys, despite having your healthy pieces available, right? LaMelo Ball, he's playing 80% of your original starting lineup. It's Miles Bridges playing over 30 minutes. It's LaMelo playing right at that 30-minute mark. Same thing with Mark Williams. And then Josh Green played 21, but Nick Smith Jr. played 25, got some closing time here. And Tidjane Salaun, despite only hitting one field goal, did go 5 of 6 from the free throw line, though. Charles Lee kept the rook in the game, Doug, in not winning time for the Hornets, but what you were hoping was winning time. I think that's the story is, to me, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the loss. It was, I don't know about a good loss in some ways. It wasn't the best, but I do like the young guys getting valuable minutes in winning time at the end. And so that's what they decided to do with Tidjane, is leave him in the game.
We salute you, Charles Lee, our tank commander. We will appreciate it come draft time. To me, this was an ethical loss because unlike some of the other teams in the league, they didn't pull their best players in crunch time. They just, Daquan Jeffries and Josh Green got pulled in favor of Nick Smith Jr., who was having a decent game. Yeah. And Tidjane Salaun, who did make a few plays, but obviously he's a player that can make a good play or make a goofy play, and there's really no in between. And so, that's putting a risk in the game in a time where you're probably in a regular situation more risk averse. But this was an ethical loss for a lot of reasons. One, because I thought throughout the game, the Hornets matched the physicality of Orlando. And that is not something we've seen from this Hornets team a lot this season, matching another team's physicality. They kept it close. In the previous 3 matchups with the Orlando Magic, the Hornets were minus 52 in terms of the win-loss margin. So even losing a game, what was it, 7 points? That's fine. That's basically a win versus Orlando for the Charlotte Hornets this season. And you saw some really great things from LaMelo Ball. You saw some horrible things from the referees in this game. LaMelo Ball still has some foul problems, but a few of those were totally on the referees. I was amazed that Miles Bridges managed not to get kicked out of the game because he was piping hot. I'm sort of surprised that Charles Lee never even came close to getting a technical in this game. I don't understand it. Like, what is it going to take? Maybe it's going to take actual serious basketball for him to do it. Maybe he just understands the context of everything and he doesn't want to play the sort of PR game of like, I'm going to just do this for show. But like, if there's a game where you're going to get a technical foul because your players are being treated unfairly, I cannot think of a better example of a game. It was ridiculous.
He's animated on the sideline. He gets into it. He gets in a defensive stance with his defense. He has personality. He shows you emotion. It just doesn't last very long. He's not going to test the waters with these officials. I go back to Golden State when I was begging for Charles Lee to get an official with Draymond grabbing LaMelo's jersey and then LaMelo getting frustrated when it looked like LaMelo was. We talked about whether he was checked out or not. I don't think he's been checked out. So with any kind of finality to it, I was wrong on that. I do think that there was a 2-3 game stretch where it looked like he was, I'm pretty over it right now, including Golden State. But I also at that time had understood why, because he just couldn't get a damn call. And Charles Lee wouldn't go the extra mile. And that was in the same game. Steve Kerr was willing to do that when he did get the technical because he was trying to impact the game. And so it's not like he doesn't show any emotion. He gets the guys going. He's into it. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I want you to point out in a dramatic way that we're getting treated unfairly, that we're not getting any foul calls, and I need the officials to step their game up. That's what I want Charles Lee to go to the officials and say.
Yeah, and look, coaches very rarely get a technical by surprise. They communicate with these officials a lot. They know the line. Some of them even know the code word. Like they know the word that you say to a particular official to get them to give you a T.
Bull
like
Durham
they're different
style.
words.
Yeah, just
right.
Kevin Costner filled you in on that one.
Yeah. So they know. Charles Lee knows what to do if he wants to get a technical foul. And I think one was warranted in this game because the book is out on not really on LaMelo Ball, but guys know they can be physical with LaMelo Ball and frustrate him. And they also know that officials aren't calling it. Because there's some sort of issue. This is not LaMelo Ball driving to the lane. There being marginal contact, sort of a 50-50 thing, and not getting the star call. This is Gary Harris pushing, pulling, grabbing, knocking him out of the way on an out of bounds that gets just no call. No, I mean, there was so much contact on some of these just on ball defense on LaMelo Ball. And it's ridiculous. It's got to stop, but it's not just going to stop on its own. Like, yeah. and I put some of this on LaMelo Ball too. Like, look, if you're going to get 6 fouls at the end of the game, might as well on one of those really unfair ones, like the 4th one or the 5th one, just get yourself tossed at that point. Honestly, I wouldn't punish you right now. I wouldn't punish you for that.
Well, and he kind of did though, Doug. Like, remember when it was I forget who it was, but it was on an inbounds pass when he's trying to get open and he just pushes his guy down and it was understood we're going the other way. So he did it with whatever you can do to just have an outright, oh yeah, that's an absolute foul call. And I loved it. Right?
Like, the 6th one. It was the 6th one. It was hilarious. Yeah. He just shoved Goga Bitadze. He immediately undid the jersey. He had some he had some interesting things to say that got caught because Eric Collins and Dale Curry went quiet. Some interesting things to say on the mics.
Oh, it was back to back too. I mean, it was bang bang. It was from LaMelo. Here's last thing on LaMelo, because you are right. Here, people are being extremely physical with him again, and in an unfair way, in a way that there should be some foul calls. He should have gone to the foul line more than the 2 times that he did, going 4-4 from the charity stripe. Here's what I like about what LaMelo did last night. In a stretch of basketball for LaMelo where he's been way more cold than hot. We got the one game a few outings back, but that's about it. I mean, you have not seen a nice points per shot attempt, and we have seen defenses be physical with him. He answered the bell and was really efficient. 9 of 13 from the field, 3 of 4 from three-point land. So it's not like he was settling for only 3-point shots and just hoisting them up there. 4 is one of the fewer attempts that he's taken in a game this year, and he made 3 of them. Also had 9 dimes, 4 turnovers, 6 fouls. We know that, but 9 dimes. Efficient game for LaMelo. So I'm glad that he was frustrated and still played through it to the point where you were a plus offensively for your team. I liked seeing that, Doug.
played through it and tried to play through the magic. What I liked is when he was getting fouled and playing with fouls, he still put his head down. He said, forget it. I'm going to get through this defense. I don't care what pressure you're throwing at me.
Awesome.
I'm going to use every trick I've got in my bag, and I'm getting to that rim. And if I've got to dish it off to Mark, I've got to dish it off to Mark, but I'm going to make the right decision. That's what I loved. What LaMelo has to clean up in the future are some of these bad defensive fouls, getting beat on defense and then desperately trying to recover, and in doing so, getting a foul that he just cannot have because he's a star player. If he was a role player, I'm fine with trying to recover and get that foul and keep that from being a shot. When you're a star player for this team, you have to recognize I cannot do that. That's what he has to improve on. But I liked his game in this one a lot. He had the massive three-pointer at deep 6-16 in the fourth quarter. He was doing his best to lead this team in a game in which they were getting treated unfairly, and I felt like the coach didn't properly go to war for his crew in this game. I'd like to see it before season's end.
Yeah.
And certainly would like to see it at the beginning of next season.
Because you're going to get another opportunity. In 10 games left, you're going to get one if history repeats itself, which it has.
Let's go.
It has. I'm with you. God, why do I want a technical so bad, man? I want it so freaking bad. And it was after Golden State where, again, I take my mom, who is there to pull for Steph Curry, and clap just a little bit right next to me where there's a whole bunch of Hornets jerseys surrounding her. And she said, you know what? Like, I'm pulling for the Hornets. This is ridiculous. We can all see it. I need you to get a tech. Impact the game. Impact how the game is officiated. That's what
By the way, anyone who listens to this show a lot knows we are not the ref show. We are not the show that always comes on here and complains about the refs. We look at the game. We understand that a lot of stuff happens in a game, and that to blame the referees, to me, oftentimes is just an easy out, and you're not really looking at the systemic issues that are happening quarters 1 through 4. This game was absurd. It was ridiculous. Not only the foul calls, the like 50-50 calls, or even the 75-25 calls. I'm talking about there was some incompetence in this game. Missed calls. The missed Nick Smith Jr. had a layup that was obviously that it hit the backboard before it was blocked. Just incompetence by the referee crew. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Doug told me he was mocked and loaded, and now I can't stop thinking about it. We bring you another mock draft coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time?
Game Time?
There's nothing like watching basketball live, the energy of the crowd, the sound of sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out all the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets anymore. There's easy ticket shopping. You can check the Game Time app. There are amazing deals on some huge matchups coming up. Plus, there are super deals. Game Time Picks even highlights the super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck. And then finally, they give you a peace of mind. With seat views before you buy, there's no surprise fees, and there's a lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time?
Game time.
More Locked On Hornets ahead. Doug is delivering on his promise. He told you it was for real this time, and you actually did the math. It was a lot better than my math, where I told you we had about 90 days of mock drafts to go through. You did the math, and you're on day 3 of what, Doug Branson?
Yeah, I think we have 61 days, including the draft day, because obviously I'll probably fire off a number of mocks during our live draft show.
So you'll just make up the last 30. Yeah, you'll just make up the last 30 on draft day. It'll just be the whole
whatever
show.
I've got to make up, probably plus some. I go crazy with the mock drafts during the live show. No idea where that's going to be yet. No idea who's going to be on it, but we've got a few months to plan.
Well, help us out, people. if you know a place that might be willing to host your boys, Walker Mail and Doug Branson, we're open for business here. If you got a business around town and you would like to see Locked On Hornets live, then just slide on up in the DMs, text Doug. You have the text information. It's right there. You can text them in the show notes. You can also chat them at everyhornetsboxscore.com. There's some contacts there. So anyways, just letting you know we're open for business.
That's right. We'll bring our stuff from the low bar into your bar and do a live show. All right, let me get the mock draft out of the way on this one because I really want to get back to some of these thoughts on the Orlando game. A few interesting things happened. Let's go to ESPN.com. Ever heard of them? This is Gavoni and Wu. This is a little bit of an oldie. It's March 13th, but sometimes if you're going to do a mock draft today for the next 61 days, some of them are going to be fresh. Some of them are you're going to have to like wrap it up in a damp towel and put it in the microwave to get it to soften up a little bit. It's going to be a little stale.
You know ball. Nice job.
Oh, yeah. I get your rolls. You know, if you've got rolls that have been sitting out on the counter a little too long and they're a little hard, you're thinking about throwing them away. You wrap them up in a damp towel, you throw them in the microwave for 30 seconds, bing, bang, boom, you got a sandwich.
Air fry some bread or toast bread and then microwave it. It gives you a little bit more softness to it. Anyways, those are some tips from Walker and Doug.
All right, with the number 1 pick, the Washington Wizards select Cooper Flagg. Number 2, Utah takes Dylan Harper. 3, Charlotte Hornets. This is the big decision. Is it going to be Bailey? Is it going to be Edgecombe for ESPN on March 13th? It's going to be Ace Bailey out of Rutgers. No tournament time for Bailey, unfortunately, but he is viewed, says Jeremy, who did this, Wu or it doesn't say. Wu or Gavoni says he is viewed as more of a project and one who will require careful, hands-on development to succeed, but there's no player in this draft who can score the way he does. Bailey's pre-draft process will be pivotal in persuading teams he can discover the consistency needed to be a star at the next level. So that's interesting, Walker. You know, a lot of people right now mocking Ace Bailey 3, 4. He could maybe get into to the discussion for 2, or could slip down to 5 or 6, depending on how this pre-draft process works out.
Yeah, Brandon Miller has been a comp for him. The problem is we knew what Brandon Miller was really good at right away. The dude was a dead-eye shooter at Alabama, and he could score at will. The numbers for Brandon Miller at Alabama, they were ridiculous. So here you have Ace Bailey, who has a very similar makeup, has a 6'10 frame. He's only listed at 200 pounds, so he's definitely slight, which Brandon Miller was slight as well. But you like that archetype that can put the ball on the deck at that kind of size and become a 3-level scorer at his apex. But the numbers don't match up with what Brandon was showing you at Alabama, because Ace Bailey, he averaged 17.5 points per game this past season at Rutgers, but he did so on 34.5% shooting from 3, 46% shooting overall, 51.1% on 2s, which at 6'10", you probably would like something a little better than that. And Doug, also the free throw percentage was under 70. It was 69.2. Good rebounder, 7 rebounds per game. I like seeing that from Ace Bailey. But those numbers alongside a all-pro point guard, your top 3 prospect counterpart as well. And this was a team that didn't make the tournament. So you have very different one-season tenures in college for Ace Bailey and the other guy the Hornets drafted that he's being comped to in Brandon Miller. More of a sure thing. Like, you knew Brandon can't fail. Even with us being the scoot homers that we were, we knew Brandon Miller could not fail as a second overall pick, right? Like, maybe the ceiling isn't there. That was debatable. That was the whole debate. But you knew what you were going to get. With Ace, it feels like there's a world where Ace Bailey can fail, and it's pretty easy to think of. But it's also pretty easy to think of a world where Ace Bailey can just be an all-NBA player with this talent that he has.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to how confident are you that Brandon Miller can quickly develop the ball handling skills and the playmaking skills necessary to be the kind of player that you could put Ace Bailey next to and it not be such a conflict. And then what's the defensive role for each of those players? A lot of questions that you'd have to answer there before taking Ace Bailey. Also, can you tolerate taking another project player after selecting Tidjane Salaun with the 6th pick? And I'm really, one of my takes from this game against Orlando is that I'm super encouraged by the progress that Tidjane Salaun is making. Like, you can see the improvements in awareness, and he's going to have those goofy moments where he like gets in Nurkic's way for a rebound. I swear to God, Nurkic, I'm glad there's only 11 games left and Tidjane is just coming back from Greensboro, because I think if there were 20 games left, Nurkic might strangle Tidjane Salaun on the floor. Might get a technical. First time ever a player would get a technical for strangling their own teammate because he gets in the way of these rebounds, and Nurkic gets this look in his eye like, kid, you've got to figure this out.
Well, and the thing about these two, they're different level projects, right? Where Tidjane had the whole world to go. I don't think that's true of Ace, where, for instance, there's a play last night. Tidjane gets the ball at the top of the key. There's a bad closeout, and Tidjane just drives right by his guy and then gets into the paint. But then, I think it was Wendell Carter, whoever, puts him in a decision-making process of, do I float this or do I try to draw the defense in and then dish it to Mark in the dunker spot? He just has no clue what to do. He has no clue how to manipulate the backline defender, and it ends up in a turnover when it should have been a basket. Whether it was Tidjane with a floater, an easy bunny, or a dime to Mark, it should have been a basket. You put Ace Bailey in that same situation, bad closeout, flyby, drive. I feel a lot better about Ace converting on that opportunity than I do Tidjane. But we all know that. That's not any kind of groundbreaking take. Tidjane has a long way to go. Ace is going to have a long way to go to reach his ceiling. You're right. And you got to figure out if LaMelo's willing to put up with that going into his 6th season. Miles, who has to want to win. I know he wants to win. Going into his 8th season now, I guess? Something like that is what he'd be going into. 9, something like that. I think 8. And some of these vets, or are you ready to win right now? Because Cooper is the guy that would help you. Okay, this is a future and now type of pick for us. It's an interesting question.
The Hornets have so many great tank weapons. You've got LaMelo's fouling. You've got Tidjane doing something goofy. You've got Josh Green dropping a deuce on the box score, which he didn't do in this game.
No,
13 points. Goose egg, though, on rebounds. Goose egg on assists. Josh Green reminds me of my baby. They're hyper-focused. You can get them to focus on one thing, but if you try to pull them away, it's not going to work. They just get super focused on doing one task. So if he's scoring if he's hitting threes from the wing, he did do a lot on Franz Wagner on defense, but
good game. Like even without the three, had the fun half court alley oop from LaMelo where he got out, which is weird. This is an athletic kind of stronger guy. You would think his downhill game is strong, but really it's just a 3-and-D player. It was nice to see a dunk from Josh Green. There can't be many. I'll look it up. We'll get our research team on it.
Anything.
The last month. You have turned. You're tired. This is a bad.
Well, every season that we've been doing this for a while, where March and April don't matter, and every season there's a player that becomes sort of the avatar, that becomes the thing that all of the frustration gets sucked into, and unfortunately, Josh Green has become that player. But one guy that hasn't become that player is Josh Okogie. We were excited about him coming over from Phoenix. He showed some really stellar two-way play before injuring his hamstring. Had no idea when he was going to be back. He was back last night all of a sudden. We had gotten some hints that he was ramping things up. And so he returns, and I thought, particularly like end of first, also a little bit in the end of second, I just thought he was chaos maker on the defensive end, making plays. Love Josh Okogie. Hope that he sticks around next season.
Which leads me to another point. I have a question for Hornets media, my people over there, because I haven't been to any games here recently, and I need somebody to ask Charles Lee a question over there. So coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Someone do Walker's job for him.
Please.
He's everywhere.
Please, somebody do that for me. I've got a question.
I'm proud of you.
Hornets
That's
media.
a me move. I'm proud of you.
No, it is a you move. And then we'll play Innie or Outie in honor of Severance. That's still coming up. Last segment, LOH. I am going to ask somebody to do my job for me. There are other people over there that have been covering every single game. They've worked way harder than I have in terms of going to the game and covering the Hornets. I've been focusing on Panthers draft, March Madness, all this other stuff. I did want to ask, can someone confirm Trey Mann is out for the season? Just any game. I love my people over there. They're great, right? They're awesome. Love them. We got the word from Spencer Percy, who tweeted out that he had a source tell him Trey Mann was going to be out for the rest of the season, and I don't feel like we've gotten anything. Josh Lloyd tweeted at me saying, does anybody know what's going on with Trey Mann? And it's like, we haven't heard anything from the organization. It feels like they're Mark Williamsing this.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing.
So, but somebody needs, I don't know if anybody's asking, so maybe they can say, shut up, Walker. Everybody's asking. They're just not giving us anything. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. So I want to hear from Charles Lee or somebody. And there's only 10 more games. So they're not going to bring him back. Just a status check in, just to see what's going on with Trey. That's just a question.
And I think they would say the same thing that they said 2 months ago when Charles Lee was asked about it. And he said that the back was not progressing like they wanted it to. I think. Yeah. So these situations with back injuries, they're different from when you like tear an ACL or something else happens where there's like a medical prognosis, like you're going to be out. This is the range you're going to be out depending on how rehab goes. We kind of have an idea. Back injuries, the science is it's not as settled on some of this stuff. And this seems to be what I've learned through the Mark Williams situation is that a lot of this process seems to be, we're going to ramp it up. And then when you start to feel pain, or if you start to feel pain, then we'll ramp it back down. And we're just going to keep doing that until there's going to be a process. There are going to be levels. There are going to be things you have to hit. And until you do those things, you're not going to be in the game. So it's out indefinitely. And so I think realistically, he's probably out for the season. But it's not the same as tearing an ACL or some other kind of injury where it's like, no, we know 100% that he is not going to be able to play. I just think with these back injuries, when you're talking about pain tolerance and tightness, it's just a different thing.
Rapid fire observations from this game before we play Innie or Outie. Doug, any other thoughts on Orlando? Are you good? Are you chambers empty?
No, I think this was an ethical loss. I think the Hornets just move on and take some of the good stuff here and deal with the frustrations from the referees, let that go, and move on to the next game.
Okay, I watched the Severance Season 2 finale over the weekend, and I want to play a game, Innie or Outie. If you haven't seen the final scene, okay, huge spoiler. It's still a little fresh, so I don't know how to play the spoiler part.
Hold on. You don't even need to spoil anything. Let's just say this. If you've watched the show or if you've not watched the show, you're going to know this, that the Innies represent, I think, a more chaotic, a more... I don't even know how to describe it.
I would say
impulsive.
We're starting to see the turn of becoming institutionalized and deciding that reality is, okay. They're adapting to that reality.
Right, and your Outie is more of like, I'm in the real world. I'm logical, right. I'm rational, and your Innie is not in the real world. Your Innie is in this whole other world that has been created for them, and they're more like, just sort of in the tank. They've drank the Kool-Aid. So that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, are we in on a player, are we out on a player? We're talking about, are we just like fully committed, in the tank for a player, or are we more rational about this player's flaws and his good qualities, and we know that there's development to come?
Okay, so you can give me the player, and then I'll decide if my Innie or if my Outie likes said player.
LaMelo Ball. We got to start with the number one, LaMelo Ball. You Innie or you Outie?
Oh man. I think for me, this is like reintegration happening because I know logically that this is a player that works when healthy, but I have become somewhat institutionalized, and I also understand that in reality, the idea of a 6'8" point guard that can make every pass on the floor and has been a good shooter every year outside of this one, that player works in an NBA setting. But I also understand that he probably isn't a number one option for a team looking to contend. And I just want to get more talent around him in the first place. So this is like flashbacks of reintegration in my brain. And I think I'm splitting the line here where the process is kind of working, kind of not. And I have a hole in my head.
Well, I won't split the difference. I will not reintegrate. I'm fully Outie on LaMelo Ball. I'm not out on the player. I'm fully understanding of what he can do to impact a game, like he does when he drops, 10 points against the Miami Heat in a span of 3 minutes that puts them up 12, or what he did in the third and fourth quarters of this game against the Magic. But I also understand that there are issues that he has to address in this offseason and in next season in order to achieve the things that he wants to achieve, I think, individually, which would also help the Hornets achieve what they want to achieve as a team. I'm just realistic about it. I'm also realistic about the idea that the Hornets could possibly, and honestly, I think at this point should, start to entertain ideas of moving LaMelo Ball if the return made sense, and if they're confident that another direction for this franchise would make more sense.
What's the next player you want to roll with?
Tidjane Salaun, the project, the rookie. Are you Innie or are you Outie?
I'm Outie on Tidjane Salaun. I am very aware. I live in a reality where I know exactly what he is, and I'm willing to see this thing through. I am not institutionalized on Tidjane. I'm hopeful, but I know there's still a long way to go. And yet still, it's very clear after last night that he's making progress. He's clearly showing improvements. The problem with that is, man, if the bar was on the ground, the low bar, right? Because we keep using that phrase. The bar was on the ground for Tidjane entering this NBA world. But you see the flashes. I completely understand there's a long way to go. I feel like I'm viewing Tidjane pretty logically.
There's a scene where one of the characters in Severance, whose name Irving, starts to see images that we later learn, this is a spoiler, sorry, that we later learn are from his Outie. His Outie has been subliminally trying to put messages into his Innie's head. And so he sees this like black goo dripping down from his desk. That's me. I'm Irving, so I am an Innie, but I'm getting images of the Outie. So I see the goofiness and I go, that's weird. That's not good, but I'm totally Innie on Tidjane Salaun. I've just seen too many echoes of freakiness. Giannis. I saw him make a transition play against Orlando, this very same kind of transition play that in Summer League he completely and utterly botched, and it became a turnover, and he looked like one of these kids in like a 10-year-old league. And in this Orlando game, he totally managed to save it. He didn't let the ball pressure get to him, and he got to the rim, he got fouled, and he went to the free throw line and hit 2 free throw shots. So that's the kind of development where I'm like, yes, this is happening. It's happening quicker than I thought it would. I am totally Innie on Tidjane Salaun. I think he can be not a good player. I think he can be a great player in this league if the team is willing to be patient. He could be an all-NBA player. He could be an MVP.
The flashing red light is going off when you talk about Tidjane Salaun. So I have not gone with an Innie. I'll just go ahead and name a player that I clearly am going to be Innie on. Mark Williams, my guy.
Of course.
I see ya. Well, this is the one. If I was going to go Innie on anybody, it's Mark Williams, who I absolutely, very much so, want to work badly here with the Hornets. But I was Outie for a while. This was understandably going poorly when the Hornets tried to trade him, and then that trade got rescinded. And then after the trade got rescinded, there was, I don't know, like 3 weeks especially. And even before he got traded, I should say that there was probably a solid month of Mark consistently not playing good basketball. That was happening quite a bit, especially defensively. He was just getting taken advantage of by whoever the center was for the other team. That's not happening anymore, and I understand that the sample size should probably be a little larger before I'm all the way back in, and yet that's not the case. I'm Innie. I want Mark to work, and I completely understand how institutionalized I am by pulling for Mark Williams.
I'm Outie on Nick Smith Jr., although I'm hanging up my badge and I'm about to get on the elevator and my eyes are going to roll in the back of my head and it's going to make that.
This is a night. Okay. Interesting development.
Because of what I've seen over the past couple of weeks, I think the reason I'm still Outie though is, again, he has to get in the weight room. He has to get stronger. But you know why I'm Outie, but I'm at Lumen and I'm hanging up my badge and I'm about to get on the elevator? Because he has something that I talk a lot about on this show that I love. He's got that look in his eye. Like when you see him play, he has an intensity and a focus that I just associate with players that are going to improve. And I think he has soaked up so much from Charles Lee that if Charles Lee remains the coach of this team for the next few years and they stay committed to Nick Smith Jr., I think he can fend off whatever this KJ Simpson thing is. That's going to be a big deal, though. Those two players are kind of running the same path right now, but I think he can fend that off. And I think Nick Smith Jr. can be an impact player if he makes those improvements in the weight room, watches some Jose Alvarado tape, and can influence the game a little bit more on the defensive end. I've liked what I've seen from him over the past couple of weeks, and I'm close to being an Innie again.
Decisive yesterday. Missed a shot late to try to bring them within winning this game, but decisive, where you could see the contrast between Tidjane and Nick Smith Jr. NSJ knows exactly what he wants to do with the basketball. Tidjane, not so much. But I liked what I saw from NSJ, certainly last night. Okay, finally, Musa. Musa, I'm all Innie as well, and this is one where I'm just like, oh God, I was not making the hard decision in the hallway. I didn't even think about going out onto the stairwell. I started immediately running with Musa, holding hand in hand again with the siren going off. I was going right back to my computer to organize all those numbers, baby. Me and Musa, I'm Innie on Moussa Diabate. I don't know what it would take for me to trade him. I just know it would be a lot more than it should. Innie on Moussa Diabate.
I'm Outie. I've been Outie just because I know that without a shot, it's going to be difficult to play him, though he has been taking a few and they haven't looked terrible. So sort of the same situation with Nick Smith Jr. I think by the beginning of next season or in if they let him play summer league or preseason, if I see a little bit more of that and they play him at 4, there's just no future for him at 5. I've been real about that the whole time. So I think my role, I'm seeing now that I think my role on this show is Outie and your role on this show is Innie.
Oh, no. Well, Tidjane, the thing is, I've gone with the Innies for Mark and Musa, but I still, my Outie is still trying to say, hey, Walker, you're right. Keep going. Keep going, buddy. You're doing great. Okay, that'll do it.
I'll tell you, Josh Green, I am Mark
you're
in
Innie.
the early parts of... Outie. I'm Mark in the early parts of season 1 where he's like drunk on the couch, like does not want to do anything. That's where I'm so Outie on Josh Green. It's not even funny.
I was going to say, like, you're Innie in that you can't stand what's going on there too. Like there are certain parts of the Innie
I'm the
that
Innie
don't
rebelling.
like what's going on.
Innie rebelling.
That's what it is. Yes. No, that's 100% what you're doing. You are Innie rebelling right now with Josh Green. Last update, I'm actually going to go over to the breaking ground ceremony, if you will, for the Hornets' new practice facility. It'll be called Novant Health Performance Center. That's going to take place at 9:30. So on this Wednesday morning, we're recording. We're about finishing up about 8:45 a.m. Eastern or so. Team's new facility will transform the area across the Spectrum Center. Currently a parking lot, by the way. Going to be a 160,000 square foot Novant Health Performance Center. It will house the team's business and administrative offices for roughly 250 employees. About 100,000 square feet of space will be used for training and recovery, including 2 full-size basketball courts, and there will also be retail too. I'll give you some updates on what kind of things are talked about during the breaking of the ground, but going over there today. So just kind of a day, I don't know about history, but kind of some history with the Novant Health Performance Center going up and them starting that process today.
Oh, it's the first thing they've built in Uptown since building the arena, right? I mean, they've renovated Spectrum Center a few times, but we're seeing some expansion of the franchise, new ownership group. It's cool that they are investing in things around the team. I think it makes you feel better about the commitment that they have to the city of Charlotte, particularly with a lot of talk of expansion and moving still being a thing in the NBA. None of that has been around the Charlotte Hornets, thankfully. So that's all good. I'm glad. I'm glad they're going to get some cushier new offices, but I want to see them invest in players. Like, I don't know that many fans are going to be super excited and like buy, oh, I got to get my season tickets now. They got a new practice facility. Like, I think it has some sneak benefits for the team in terms of acquiring talent in the future because you want state-of-the-art facilities for these players to attract them, but you've got to go and pay the players. They want money. You've got to get the checkbook out and go get the players necessary to win.
All right, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We are free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. Check out Doug, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, Locked On NBA, and I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
I'm going to show you my belly button. Here we go.